So big data is big, and there's a lot of information in it, but it's not useful information. The real trick is to take that big data and to turn it into insight, something actionable organizations and leaders can do with all of that information. And the way we think about what kind of insights and actions you can take, we think in terms of backwards-looking insights. So what did I spend last month? But we also think in terms of predictive insights of when am I going to spend next month? That allows me to do forecasting. But the real value in big data is prescriptive analytics, where you can take the data and you can predict where things are going and can help you navigate where that is. So taking cars as an example and where we are with self-driving cars. So historically, people would know what the traffic was the last 15 minutes. There was an accident, you would hear that over the radio. Then we got into the current order where there are now navigation apps, and they will tell me which route is best to take, and they will also predict for me you're going to get home in an hour and a quarter or an hour and a half. So you can call home and say, hey, I'm going to get home at this time. But the real thing that's coming out that we're all seeing that's the great value is the predictive analytics of self-driving cars. Because self-driving cars are now collecting huge amounts of data because it's not just the traffic on the road, but it's the road signs, it's seeing pedestrians, it's seeing other cars, and that's where the true value comes out of the data. So take that to your thinking into your organization, and if your organization is now collecting that much more data, since governments are digitizing and they're increasing their digitization, organizations and governments now have a lot of data. So how do you take that and turn that into prescriptive analytics for your organization? I think an agency should start thinking about its end goals. What does it really want to achieve? What are its priorities? Each agency will have its own priorities, but you set those priorities out and then you can aim for those end priorities. And I would think one thing to consider as you're doing this is this idea of those analytics that are more than just predictive, but get to the prescriptive. And you're really going to need tools to get there. It's not something most of us build in-house. You're going to really rely on some expertise, probably artificial intelligence or machine learning to get there. But I don't think most organizations would ever be able to get to that end goal as a first step. So you'll have to think about what are the steps that I use to get to that end goal. And so that's where you start looking at what's commercially available, what are off-the-shelf products that allow me to start analyzing my data. And so that's where you start first looking at what are my business intelligence reporting tools to just give me how am I doing against my budget. Or give me simple forecasting tools that are just generally commercially available. And then you work up to get to how do I leverage the data for that true prescriptive analysis. And that's where you start using AI and machine learning, and that's where you aim for your end goal.